Hi, and welcome to Learning with Laser. My name is Allison Laser. I am an educational consultant and early childhood expert and have many degrees in early childhood education. I asked, and you guys specifically said you wanted more information on milestones. And the best way I could come up with to do that was to simply create some videos and talk about milestones. So what are milestones? Milestones are developmental based on your child's age, created by the CDC and a lot of other really expert people who have studied children's development and that sort of things for years and years and years. But these milestones are simply the baseline of where children should be. That means that if your child is 4, you look at the 4-year-old milestones and you know they don't have to hit these milestones until they've reached 5. By 5, they should have completed the 4-year-old milestones. So don't look at the 4-year-old milestones and say, oh my goodness, my child's behind. Instead, look at them and be like, oh, this is what I'm working on this entire year with my child. Now, the CDC has a website that has developmental milestones from every month up to about 5 years old. But where we're going to start today is with 18-month-old. So 18 months to 5 years is kind of my strong suit. And so that's what I feel most comfortable talking about. Now, I have no problem doing the research and diving into those younger months, especially if that's the age your child is or the things you're looking at supporting your child with. Let me know in the comments and I will work on those. However, today we're going to start with 18-month-old milestones. Now remember, when your child turns 18 months, that's when you start working on these. However, if your child is younger than 18 months and you see that they're already kind of getting to these things, then go ahead and introduce these concepts and start working on these concepts with your child. So I'm just going to go through a handful of them today. I've got a little list over here in case you see me looking back and forth. But for the 18-month milestones, the things you are working on with your child is handing things back and forth. Now, for children, this kind of is a very repetitive and fun game. For you, you're bored, but that's okay. I see this as if your child has a cookie and they take that cookie from you and they take a bite and then they share it back to you and you take it and you pretend to take a bite and then you hand it back to them and they take a bite and you go back and forth. That's that transitional handing things back and forth. Another developmental milestone is that they're afraid of strangers and they're showing affection towards familiar people. So when you are trying to hand your child off to a really good family friend, but that your child hasn't seen in years, that fear that they're experiencing and that they're portraying is a good thing. That means they have attached to you and they know that you are a safe person. You need to help develop that relationship with this new person so they know this is not a stranger. This is someone safe. And as that develops, they start showing more affection towards that person. It's that wonderful feeling you get when you come home and your child comes running to you saying, Mama, Mama. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Simple pretend play. Now, this is nothing fancy. This is simply taking a horse and moving the horse just like a horse would move. Or picking up a phone, especially your own cell phone that they want to play with so bad, and putting it to their ear. That basic mimicry of the item in the correct way is fantastic, and it is the next step in developing their imagination and their creativity. Another developmental milestone is being clingy in new situations. Like I said earlier, when you go to hang out with your really good friend, but you haven't seen them in a while, and your child's really clingy to you, that's okay. That's that attachment they've developed to you and that they're latching onto because they know you are safe. Work on easing them through that, giving them a little bit of distance, having them play with that new person with you nearby to develop that relationship. At this age, children start pointing to something interesting. Ooh, do this with them as you see things. Tree, dog, anything that you see, point and have them draw their eye to it. The point with the pointing is to point and draw your eye to it. So if they're having a hard time, get your finger in front of their eye and then move them to where you want them to look. And then have them reach their hand out and point as well. As your child is developing at around the 18-month-old age, they start to say several words. Obviously, mama, dada, bottle, sleep. Sleep is a hard one, but they may signal to you that they're tired. They may say yes or no. They may simply shake their heads yes or no. Again, it's that basic communication starting to come out. 1-year-olds, 18-month-olds can also start to follow one-step verbal commands. Very simplistic, something they already know, like sit down. And I do this with a hand signal, which in a classroom, teachers often do this too. I simply say, sit down. So when we climb up the ladder to go down the slide, we get to the top of the slide and I say, sit down. When your child shows that they're able to sit on their own, they're following a verbal command. When you say, come here, and they walk to you, they're showing that they're understanding that verbal command. Walking is another one. Again, we know some children that walk at 7 months or 9 months, and we know some children that need to be 18 to 20 months before they start walking. They're working on those steps and on picking up the pace a little bit. Hold their hand, guide them, stay behind them, help them feel safe. And when they fall, say, uh-oh, but don't panic. Instead, praise them because they did such a great job practicing those steps. Pulling toys while walking is another one. You know, we've all seen the little strings attached to a toy. I can picture clearly the thing I have at my parents' house. It was a green little block with black wheels and an elephant on top, and then there was a string attached to it. I think my mom still has it. Pulling while they're walking, it's showing a chain of events. When I pull, it follows. So pulling toys and having toys that they can pull is a wonderful developmental step for them, helping undress themselves. So when you start pulling it all over their shirt over their head, and they start pulling on it too, they're helping. Allow them, say, you're doing it, keep going, pull it off, pull it on, and practice. 2 more for you to think about is drinking out of a cup. Now, this does not mean a cup with no lid. This means some sort of sippy cup, something more than just a bottle that they can hold and drink. It could be a water bottle with a straw. It could be a cup with a straw. I don't know if y'all have seen those awesome cups that it's like silicone on the top and they bite and then they can suck the water out. That motion of having to tilt the cup is a skill you want to work on. And lastly, eating with a spoon. Now, I talked about this a little bit on Instagram if y'all have seen my clips. I usually post in stories and I do a couple posts a week that tell a little bit more about this, but eating with a spoon is a huge process for children, and it all starts with modeling. So you're feeding them, and then you take their hand and put it under your hand, and you show them scoop and eat, scoop and eat, and then you allow them to make a mess. Choose a food that's easier to clean up, something not like soup, but a little thicker, and utilize that. So these are just a few of the developmental milestones that I wanted to bring to your attention for 18-month-old development. I'll keep working on more videos, so stay tuned, subscribe to Learning with Laser, and follow me on Instagram for more.